Let's play some NU, shall we? We got a bunch of drops in the new tier shifts to NU. A bunch of drops all over the place, frankly. The drops this month were insane. But NU got some decent drops. And I decided to try out a couple of the new mons like Shaymin and Weezing dropped down here as well. My opponent's team has Bronzong, which is one of the more problematic drops at the moment. And Magneton is a pretty decent option from what I can see at the moment. Ursaring actually dropped out of the tier, so they're bringing up a PUmon as well. Weezing is a PUmon by usage from OU. I think that as a lead, looking at their team, do they have any hazard removal? They don't. But if also they get hazard up, then I'd want to remove them. Do I have any hazards on this team, actually? I forgot. I don't even have any hazards on this team. I was thinking I'd lead off with Copperajah, but I forgot. The whole point of this Copperajah is that it's Assault Vest. Bronzong is a problem, like I mentioned, but we do have the Hoopa, and Hoopa can't be hit by Body Press. It resists stored power, so you just have to watch out for Heavy Slam. And you can trick it away, your Choice Scarf, and make the Bronzong not be able to do anything anymore. I want to lead off with my Hoopa, I think. As they actually do lead off with Bronzong, so that's a fantastic lead by me. I'm just going to throw off a Shadow Ball here, as it looks like they are dual screens. And they get off a Reflect first. So they could go into the Ursaring here. I am Levitate on my Weezing, not neutralizing gas, so I will have to contend with that. Looking at my team, I don't really see the need to keep Altaria around quite so much. Maybe it would be good for the Arbalava, I don't know. But it looks like my opponent isn't really making the best plays, to be honest. I'm just going to defog here. Get rid of this screen. And then I'm going to go into... I'm just going to trigger Meteor, man. I don't care. This will probably outspeed me. Oh, it actually has Ice Punch, okay. So I guess I could have gone Weezing there and it would have done a little less, but... yeah. I'm going to Thunderbolt here. Okay, so clearly that's not the play. I could have Pain Split, or I could have done any number of things, but I chose to Thunderbolt because I figured they'd go into their Steel type, but they didn't. That's okay. So the question is, are they Guts or are they Quick Feet? If we assume that they are Guts, I could go Tauros, and I will outspeed. And they have no close combat switch-ins. They're -1, so even if they tear a Ghost, maybe I'll live. Because Tauros is pretty bulky and I won't have a defense drop. We'll see. We're done messing around with that threat. Yeah, they'll probably go for Aqua Jet. I don't want to take an Aqua Jet on my Tauros. I need it to win. Tauros is my win condition. So they go for Wave Crash. And they have Rockhead, which is fine by me. Which means I'll just throw off an Earth Power here. It'll kill the Basculin. If they go Magneton, it also bops that. And they are sturdy. I am totally fine with that. We will just Earth Power again, that's okay. They want to go Arbalava, that will just give me recovery. Presumably if they have a Seed Solar. And if they go Arbalava, I sort of want to go into the Copperajah to take the Hyper Voice. But we'll see what they end up doing. Now that we know they're Basculin... Actually, I guess we don't know. They could be Scarf Wave Crash. Okay, I guess I need to be careful about that. Alright. Damage check. Shaymin against Ring. And you bulk up? Maybe? No, it's not bulk up. Because this is Flame Orb, right? So it's Flame Orb. Yeah. So Seed Flare does 40% minimum. And Facade Burned does a good chunk. I'm just going to Seed Flare, because if they don't have any bulk investment, then it'll kill. It's just that this particular set I was looking at was max HP and a lot of SPDF, careful nature. But if they're more like adamant max attack, maybe max speed, almost certainly max speed, then that's a better option, I think. Here... It's a speed tie, presumably. I'm just going to Earth Power. If they Trail Blaze, that's a little bit of a problem. But they don't Trail Blaze. And they actually Earthquake, predicting me to go into my own Tauros, probably, is what they were thinking. I was thinking about going on my own Tauros, but I decided I needed it for Arboleva. And Shaymin doesn't beat Arboleva in the same way. Here's where we go into Copperajah, because Copperajah, like I think I said it earlier, it can take the Hyper Voice. If they go for Earth Power, then that's cool, but I am in with Shaymin, so I don't think they would. Terrain Pulse is a really whack play on Arboleva. Here we will just go for the knockoff. Okay, so we got rid of their leftovers. I'll go Shaymin now. I was worried about like Terra Fire, and not gonna have been an issue. But they are Terra Blast Ground actually. And so I'm absolutely not threatened by this Arboleva. So I'll just stay in and Synthesis up. And here now, because they've gone for Terra Ground, I can just really Seed Flare. Seed Flare is one of the main reasons why I don't actually like using Shaymin that much. Because Shaymin really lives and dies by Seed Flare. It's basically one of the only reasons to use it. Let's go for the Speed Tie, I don't think it matters. And it may not be a Speed Tie, it may be Adamant. And then here we'll just Earth Power again. And they also were not Choice Scarf, so that's okay. Yeah, Seed Flare, main reason to use Shaymin. It really helps you punch through walls when you get that -2 spit out drop. But that's only if you get the -2 spit out drop, and that's only if you hit. And hitting is really the big problem with Shaymin. It's an 80% chance to hit, and if you don't get it, then you're just straight up out of luck. Alright, here I think Tauros has a really great lead matchup. They don't really have too much that wants to deal with it. Grimmsnarl can Thunder Wave, but Bronzong can't really do too much in front of it. And if they lead off with Arboleva, I'll just click Close Combat. Just look at their fighting resist. It's not a resist. That's a bit of a crazy play there, because if I'd gone for bulk up, then you would have really been out of luck. Like, really been out of luck. But this team is extraordinarily weak to Tauros, which is poor building on my opponent's part. Here I'm going to go into Altaria, because Altaria does not fare well against my opponent's team. And I can just go for... yeah, I'll just Draco Meteor here first. So they actually have Ice Punch and Terra Ice, which is an interesting play. Now I can go into Copperajah and Terra Ground. Or I could go into Tauros, get off the Intimidate, Terra Grass, and then go for the Raging Bull. And the reason we're going for Terra Grass here is because they have Zen Headbutt, right? And I don't want to be super effective against that. Now the -1 means that even if they flinch me, we should be okay, maybe? Again, good defense stat. Okay. They go Gudra, but they lost their speed on Metacham. So we'll be able to play around that hopefully a bit in the future. Here we go Copperajah. Copperajah is our designated Gudra switch-in. With the Assault Vest, the only thing we have to worry about is like Earthquake, and then a random knockoff will weaken us for later on. Here I click on knockoff on my own, as we get rid of their Assault Vest, and now we'll just Heavy Slam. If they have no interest in switching, we will take it. At this point, I feel like a lot of times you could go into Bronzong. Here we always hard Hoopa. It could Heavy Slam, but They usually don't. Here we trick always. And hopefully they stay in to make another move. Oh, they have Iron Head. Okay. So that's fine. I'll go into Tauros here. And I will click the Bulk Up. And now I can click the Raging Bull. They go Grimmsnarl. I don't want to get Thunderwave on this. So I'm going to switch. And we're going to go for the Will-O-Wisp. So good call on me. Not letting them Thunderwave my Tauros, because I needed it. Here I'm going to go Hoopa. I don't care if they crunch. But what we don't want is for them... Psyshock. Ooh, got a crit. That's really useful. I'm not going to lie, that crit is fantastic. Close combat here. They've already used their Terra on their Medicham, which I think my opponent is probably, at this point, regretting doing. Especially if they're Ghost on Snorlax. Although, you can't really be Ghost on Curselax, because then your Curse turns into the 50% kill yourself Curse, and that doesn't really work out. Alright, Tauros. Tauros Paldea Blaze versus Medicham. We know you're not Choice Scarf. So any Wall Breaker, sure, why not? And then their Terra Ice. We're just gonna double check, right? Just gotta make sure that we've got all our ducks in a row. And close combat kills. And Raging Bull kills too. Well, actually Raging Bull. Just so we can do it. And yeah. Fantastic second game. Alright. And now we're facing a different kind of team here. I feel like I faced this person earlier in testing. And their Altaria is sort of where I drew my inspiration for my own. I was running an Altaria with Fire Spin before, but I don't know how good that is on ladder. And I believe it was this guy who had the Haze Draco Meteor set, which I have seen before, but I wanted to use the Fire Spin, but then I decided it really wasn't trapping anything on the ladder. So, looking at my opponent's team, I want to lead off with my my Tauros, maybe? Yeah, something like that. Because they don't have a good switch in to Tauros, except for the Altaria, right? So I am going to close combat because we're not messing around. We are just letting... But we're not going to let the Altaria run amok. Hopefully this Altaria isn't Will-O-Wisp. But if it is, I don't think it's the end of the world. Here we are going to Heat Crash, because I remember that they used Magnet Rise on me last time we fought. And the Magnet Rise doesn't really get you too much, frankly, as you can see. Because I just Heat Crash in the next turn. But you can get some chip, which is like, cool, man. But I can just Heat Crash and then you're dead. Here I'm going to go into Weezing, maybe? Maybe? And then we can get off a Will-O-Wisp on something. We go Snorlax, which is okay. I'm going to just use the Sludge Bomb here. And then we'll Pain Split. It's not great to let my Weezing go down, necessarily. But they actually go into Heracross, which is the other guy I wanted this Weezing for. So that's a bit surprising, in my opinion. Here, part of me says go Hoopa. And I guess I will. They are burned, and they're not guts. So if they crunch, then that's okay. And now, problem is how much does Psyshock do to Guts Snorlax? Hoopa versus Snorlax. Sure, why not with well, I guess it's not Guts, it just has Facade. And this here does not do nearly enough. But I mean, at the same time, what are you doing? I guess I can go into Tauros, that's better. Yeah, Tauros is better. Okay. And now, Pile of Swine versus Tauros. I don't know any of the calcs. It's the first time watching my team, my videos. This is what we do a lot. Okay, close combat. Earthquake does not kill me. Especially if we click the Intimidate button, in which case it doesn't do any type of damage. So even after defense drop, we should be okay. But again, they'll probably go into Altaria. So actually, I could predict that. Yeah, that's better. Now we got some momentum on our side. That's better. We like that. So again, Altaria does have Will-O-Wisp, and you can see that from time to time. But I think this is still okay. Here, I'm going to go into my Tauros, because we saw before it doesn't do anything. And we actually get some good momentum off. Again, we're going to close combat, because we're not messing around. And they go Pile of Swine, predicting me to go into my Elephant, which I will take. Here, I'm going to go into Altaria. Oh, I forgot, they're this one. That's right. They're the weird physical set. So I'm going to go Copperajah here, because I don't want to take a play rough. And here I'll just Heavy Slam. They're Terra Blast Ground. Okay. Okay. Now they're Terastallized. Now they have to contend with a Seed Flare Speed Tie. It's risky business, so I'll take it. And a Terra Fairy. We have Terra Fairy specifically for Goodra, but it's also just good coverage, so we'll take it. Once again, we're gonna go. Well, actually, I don't know if I want to go. I sort of want to go Tauros here. Still a Speed Tie. I'm gonna Raging Bull here, because they're not doing any damage to me. Trailblaze here just because I can now outspeed everything. And Raging Bull you, and you die. And then the Shaymin comes out, and even if they somehow lived, I don't think this would be an issue. I'll just close combat, get as much damage off as I can. And I am still Choice Scarfed, so I'll just come out and we will Shadow Ball. Alright, that's 3 consecutive wins in a row. And we're pretty... I mean, this isn't super high ladder, but 1300 on NU isn't too shabby. And I think this team does super well. Like, the Altaria is maybe the weak link, so experiment, maybe you don't like Altaria. But I think it's good for having a Spadef Wall, for being a ground immunity, which you don't really need. But when 2 of the major contributors to this team, Copperajah and Tauros, are on the team, you sort of want it, right? A flying type also is really good for a secondary fighting check, because there's so many good fighting types in the tier. Heracross, Passimian's still around, Toxicroak isn't great at the moment, but I have seen a couple. You just want to have a couple extra options out there for the fighting types, because otherwise they do sort of run amok. This team does pretty well against Goodra, it does pretty well against Snorlax. I don't really have too many complaints with it. I think it's really good, and I do like Assault Vest Copperajah. I like Copperajah with Stealth Rock as well, so I'm not always going to be running AV Copper, but AV Copper is just so much fun, and now that Knockoff is back on it, and Heat Crash, both of those moves specifically, I think that it's going to be a really common Pokemon for my teams. A Pokemon that I don't like against this team, as in I think it does really poorly, and I don't think that it's going to be a very good Pokemon anymore, is Sandaconda. Anytime Sandaconda comes out on my opponent's part, I just go Shaymin. Natural Cure means I can't get glared. I can Seed Flare you. I can Dazzling Gleam if you wanted to like tear a dragon for some weird reason. There's nothing Sandaconda can do to this team. It's really dire. So Sandaconda used to rule this tier, and now I think it's going to be bad. Or at least not very good, between that and Rotom-Mow. But that'll be it for me today. I will catch you guys next time.